My name is Callan Shaw, and this is the FAQ. All of the frequently asked questions, they're all in chronological order in the description below with timestamps, so you can refer to the different questions if you are looking for them. So here we go, let's get to it. First question, what type of paint do you use? What brand of paint? Do you mix anything into the paint? Well, the answer to that question is I use TriArt. They have a line called Art Noise. That's what I use. Do I mix anything into the paint? No. I use it straight up. The colors are vibrant. The flow is perfect. Comes in large 16-liter pails. Thank you, TriArt from Kingston, Ontario. Love you guys. Next up, what do you think of others doing your style? I love when other people do my style. I really like it when people give credit for the inspiration that I have brought forth. I used to get upset and feel like, oh, people are stealing my thing, but really, ultimately, it's a huge compliment where it's a conversation of artists, so it's really wonderful when one artist can inspire another. So it's very humbling and very sweet, and that's really what I'm here to do. I'm here to inspire. I think it's awesome when people try my style or develop upon it or take it in a new direction. It's awesome. Okay, did you go to school? Yes, I went to school for art. I went to Etobicoke School of the Arts. It's a great school in Toronto. Then I went to OCAD University, Ontario College of Art and Design University. I did a thesis in drawing and painting. It's a 4-year program. I did it in 5, and in my second year, that's where I discovered sort of this particular style or technique, you could call it. Why do you waste paint is another question. On the online community, it's very easy to throw shade, to say something negative. The creative process is not always linear, so there's a lot of times when what I do isn't something that I'm happy with, and so I need to continue searching for that magic, that spark that will, that inspires me and something that I really want to represent myself. Not every time I pour paint does that happen, so that would be a reason why I have to paint over paintings. Another reason why I would need to paint over paintings is because ultimately I'm trying to make you feel something. If I create something and then I destroy something before your eyes as a performance piece, that idea of attachment is very interesting. Sometimes I can make somebody feel more by destroying than creating, so that's another reason. Also, I would like to add that in the arena where I do my spin paintings, I have canvas on the floor, and I also have canvas around the perimeter. So all of the wasted paint is actually captured, and they're like time pieces, span for sometimes months or years of like multiple paintings, like entire series of paintings that build up, and then those studio floors and studio walls then become artworks themselves. So there's really not a whole lot of waste. I love the splattered paint and capturing that as well. As a snap sort of response, people see it as waste, but I really don't see it like that, and it's part of the creative process, and I think a lot of creatives understand that. People that maybe not in the industry as much, they see it as waste, but I'm trying to educate them. It's not that they're maybe they're just misinformed. So yeah. Okay, so next question here. Who inspires you? I'm most inspired by the people that are like in my life that I know personally. I'm inspired by my partner, Sparkles. She's always there and always supportive. I'm inspired by my mom. I'm inspired by my agent. I'm inspired by the people that are on my team because like we make it work together. That's a very small team. My girlfriend, my mom, and my agent. Or how about like the people that make my paint, TriArt? Or how about the people that make my canvases, Zeke from Folk and Dress? All these people that are helping me. I could put on a bigger artist. I could say, oh, I'm inspired by blank. Insert like large artists that people already have heard about here. Or I could put on the people that are in my smaller network. How about the guy that drives my paintings across the country? Bob from Black on Black Designs. Like he's inspired. I want to put on and I want to put the attention on the people in my life that are helping me to get to where I'm going, that are believing in me. Or how about being inspired by the people online, like the other artists that I've never met, the small artists that just getting going in there, taking a chance, and their account has a few posts in there, they're putting their stuff out there, and they're insecure. I'm inspired by them. I'm inspired by people that I don't know that are taking a chance on themselves and believing in themselves. I'm inspired by those people too, the community online. I want to put the attention on the real people, the people that I know, the people that I don't know but are in my community, those people. Not the people that already made it. I could speak to that, but that's not what I'm here for. I'm here to build a community, so I'm inspired by those. How do you come up with prices? All right, prices. So I determine prices by size, and it's also based on what I've sold for before. So I've been doing this for 10 years. At one point I had to have a starting price, something that I was comfortable with. My first sale was 4 foot by 4 foot square. That was $800. And so that was my starting price. And then once I had sold that and the market validated that price point, then I could increase the price. It's all by size. It's not about time or materials or how much I like it, any of those things. Forget about all that. It was totally about just the dimensions and what I've sold for before. So I continually increase my price over time. I've come a long way from that first sale in a coffee shop on Queen Street. Shout out Julie from Redline Coffee, another person that put me on back when I wasn't anybody, nobody knew me before I was even on Instagram. So, shout out to Julie, Redline Coffee. She always said, remember the little people. Well, I remember you, Julie. I really appreciate it. She took 0 commission and sold my stuff, from her coffee shop. So respect. Where are you from? I'm from Toronto, Ontario. That's in Canada. I grew up in Etobicoke. Now I live in Montreal. I moved here for love because Sparkles lives here. So I live here in Montreal. My studio's here for a short period of time. I had a studio in Toronto and in Montreal, but right now my studio is just in Montreal. I love the city. I do not speak French though, so that makes it a little bit challenging, but it's never too late to learn. What happens to the paint splatter? I sort of answered that question a little bit earlier, but I line the interior perimeter of the, is that even a thing? Interior perimeter? I line the interior of the arena with canvases, and also the floor has a canvas, and so that captures all the splatter from the spinning apparatus, and those turn into paintings as well. I'm actually really excited to share those with you. I'm in quarantine right now, so I can't go anywhere, but when I get back to the studio, I'm going to document some of these, I call them over spray paintings, but they're like the almost excess splatter, the incidental pieces, so those will be coming soon. Where did you get your spin machine? I made my spinner, that's what I call it. I guess you could say it's sort of homemade. I made it while I was at OCAD. It's comprised of various bike parts. My friend had a bicycle that got smashed by a car. My friend is okay. The bike was not. He was bummed out. And I'm like, all right, let's try to take this negative thing and make it positive. I'm going to take this broken bike and make it into a thing to make paintings, the spinning machine. That was my sort of culminating project, I guess you could say, for my second year of welding course at OCAD University. Yeah, so it's a bicycle, crank it, and the back of the canvas is held by 2 C-clamps, and it's basically like where the wheel would be of the bike is instead of canvas. I've been using this spinner for 10 years, and it hasn't gotten any sort of update or anything. It's the same old one, which is kind of amazing that it's still holding together. together. I have to clean the chain periodically because it gets all gummed up with paint. I really like to think of it as like a museum piece. It's been with me all around Canada, the United States. I've seen every show I've done, over 10 different solo shows, and performed for like audiences of hundreds and hundreds of people with the same bicycle. So I do have a pretty connection with this thing. Every single painting you see that's on my account has been done with this one machine. I do have a new machine which is made for XL canvases, and so we're going to be making a very, very large canvas soon. It's going to be a 20-foot canvas, and that machine is made by Black on Black Designs for super massive, oversized work. How do you attach the canvas to the spin machine? Basically, where the free wheel is, that's all the gears on the back of the bike. Then it goes to like the sprocket or whatever. Instead of it going to like what would be like the spokes and like the tire and the wheel, instead there's like a metal bar and there's two C clamps, and those C clamps grab onto the crossbar on the back of the canvas. And so that's the way that it stays fixed. How did you discover your method? I have not always been painting. I like to think of myself as always being an artist, but it was not until my second year of university where there was a mandatory 6-hour painting class. The assignment was you can do whatever you want. I watched everybody in the class approach the canvas in a similar method, sort of a more traditional method, using a paintbrush. They started to paint, things, and I thought, I want to be different. I want to mix it up. So I went down to the potting department. I got a potter's wheel, and I brought the potter's wheel, back into the classroom, strapped the canvas to it, and started spinning around, and got paint all over everyone's bags and everything in the middle of the classroom, and a big mess. And that was sort of the beginning. And it was a performance, also just an exercise in seeing what the paint does. Shout out to Dan Solomon, who was my professor, and that was his kind of advice, was to see what the paint does. And I really kind of took that to heart, watching what the paint did under centrifugal motion. And I just kept on going down that pathway of spinning canvases. The results were never the same. No matter what I did, they were always different. So like even if I did the same thing twice, the results would still be different. I was really fascinated by that, and so I just kept with it. After graduating, then I started to do the suspension of the pendulums. In later years, developed like the Chalice of Chaos, which is just like a can with holes in it. But yeah, like the trapezes, the color cradles, and all those swinging apparatuses, those came in later years. But it's always been sort of like with that substructure of like the spinning canvas, which I discovered in second year university. Is anyone else in your family creative? I am a middle child, 2 sisters, one older and one younger. They are also very creative. My mom, she's not a career artist, she's an artist though. And my dad is an energy consultant. My mom's profession, she's a teacher and a librarian. Yeah, my dad's an energy consultant. Right now he's focused on the the COVID-19, so usually he's more into environmentalism and stuff like that. And when I was growing up, like I diagnosed for dyslexia. I've always sort of like had to like, knowing that it's just harder for me to read and write. That's basically what dyslexia is all about. Like everything is kind of flipping in 3-dimensional space when it comes to letters and numbers on pages. There's benefits and negative things about this condition, or learning disability as they call it. In other ways, I think I benefit creatively. And later on in my life, after having a whole education of learning in non-linear ways, I get to the same destination. My road is not straight. I have to kind of learn things differently and do things differently and figure that out for myself. Later on in my life, my mom revealed to me that she's also dyslexic. It's kind of interesting because like I didn't know that, and she's like, I'm like, why didn't you tell me? She's like, you never asked me. So she works with me. We collaborate on concepts, titling, like the naming of artwork. We really have an artistic connection in that way. My sisters are like my little sister. Oh my gosh, she is like super dexterous with her hands, and she does origami and sewing and making all these elaborate things, really intricate. My older sister is like a huge advocate for like sex education, LGBTQ, alphabet soup, all of that. So it's like I got all these different influences like directly in my immediate family, which are very creative and diverse. So I would say yes, I do have artists in my family. Maybe with a broad definition of artist, art, you don't need to paint on canvas to be an artist. I think, I like to think that everybody is an artist. Okay, what social cause is close to your heart? There's a few causes, one recently that cropped up and one that I've been on for a while. One recently is the Masks for All, to help flatten the curve for the COVID-19 pandemic by wearing masks. I can protect you, and by you wearing a mask, you protect me, sort of idea, washing your hands, staying at home, that sort of thing. But I'm going to leave that for now. What I really want to speak about in terms of social causes, bullying, specifically cyberbullying, is not acceptable. That kind of plays into this whole thing that I talk about with like the fake art. People say that my art is fake, a 5-year-old could do it, it's a waste of paint, the list goes on. Not particularly here on Instagram, it's a pretty positive space here, and I'm very grateful for that, and have tried a lot to create that on this platform, but more on other platforms for whatever reason. When somebody says something negative, chances are it's coming from a position of pain. There's inner darkness or doubt or hate or fear or something that is broken. And when somebody speaks out from that place of hurt, it's less actually about what they're attacking, and it's more a reflection of self. And so what I try to do to help is think of it as like educational opportunity. Like here's this person they're hating or they're trolling, not to name names or whatever, it's just like, help to educate them, because like maybe they have some suppressed thing about like they need to be creating. Somebody, maybe their mom or dad or somebody at a young age said, you gotta get a real job, you can't be an artist, you can't, follow your passion or whatever. And that's why they're hating on, these rainbows that are unpouring, So that's kind of sometimes how I think about it. So, being creative is a very vulnerable position, and it's so easy to throw somebody under the bus. You don't really realize how hurtful that can be. I thought this was an issue that I could address one time and be like, when I did my solo show in New York, and just be like, it's called fake art, it's all about this, like I'm printing out DMs, negative DMs, people threatening me and saying that my stuff isn't art, and I'll paint a rainbow over top of it, and I'll just do that one time and then it's done, it's over. I can wash my hands of that and be free of it. But it's still a problem. Bullying is still a problem. It doesn't end. That's why I need to keep on talking about it. That's why it's still #fake art. That's why it's still cyberbullying is not okay. So I've been working with Bullying Canada. I donated to them this year, and I got a project with them launching very shortly with Pop Sockets. It's called Poptivism. Half of the proceeds of the sale of these pop grips, they go on your phone, and half of the profit will go to Bullying Canada. That's something I really believe in. I think is important. What is your favorite color? That's like asking, what is your favorite child? I love all my children. It's like asking what your favorite flavor is. I mean, as a child, I think when you're younger, you can have a favorite color. I've had a favorite color. I've had many favorite colors over the years. That change depending on where I am in my life. As an adult, it's like just like colors and flavors. You want an array. You want a spectrum. You want a whole smorgasbord. You want various tastes and textures and palettes and everything. Same thing with color. How would I choose one over the other, right? If it's acceptable, if I can select rainbow or all of the colors, that would be my choice. I would also like to speak a little bit about color and emotion. I think in a heartbeat, I will choose a brighter color and say a brighter color or reach for a brighter color when I'm going to go paint. Brighter colors are more associated with positivity and darker colors negativity. Life is a spectrum. You can't appreciate the good. You can't know positivity and triumph and victory and love without failure and hate. And